If you ever want to start a really passionate debate at a casino, just walk up to a blackjack table and ask one simple question. Where is the best place to sit? First base? Third base? Does any of it actually matter? Well, in this explainer, we are going to bust some myths and look at the real math to find out what truly affects your game. So, where is the best seat at the blackjack table? It sounds simple enough, right? But oh boy, you ask that question to a table full of players and you are going to get an earful. Honestly, this debate has probably started more arguments than a bad play on a soft 18. And you can kind of see why this whole idea is so popular. I mean, when you're sitting there, the game is unfolding right in front of you. The order of play is clear, the social pressure is real. It just feels like your position has to mean something important. Okay, so to really get to the bottom of this, we first need to make sure we're all speaking the same language. Let's break down what players actually mean when they start talking about different seats at the table. It's actually pretty straightforward. First base is just the player who acts first after the cards are dealt, all the way over on the dealer's left. And third base, which you'll often hear called the anchor spot, is the very last player to make a move before the dealer shows their hand. Everything else is just, a middle seat. So these beliefs, they all kind of boil down to the same core idea, that your choice of chair can somehow dictate what cards you get, change the dealer's hand, and maybe even control the hot and cold streaks for the entire table. It seems logical on the surface, but feelings aren't the same as facts. And all of this builds up to the biggest, most pervasive myth of them all. Seriously, if you've ever spent time near a blackjack table, you've heard this one. It's the idea that the player at third base has some kind of special, almost magical power over the game. You will hear people say this with total, absolute conviction. They truly believe that the person in that last seat can either save the entire table with a smart play or doom everyone with a bad one. I mean, that's a whole lot of pressure for one player. So why on earth is this myth so hard to kill? Well, it's because our brains love shortcuts. We are wired to see patterns, even when they aren't there. We see the third base player make a decision, and then, bam, we immediately see the dealer's result. It's a simple A, then B sequence, and our brain just leaps to the conclusion that A caused B. And this, right here, is the heart of the illusion. It's a textbook case of confusing correlation with causation. Just because one thing happens right before another doesn't mean it made it happen. The final player's move is just the last thing we see. It's memorable for sure, but it doesn't hold any mathematical power. All right, so we've looked at the psychology behind the myth. Now, let's just push all that superstition and gut feeling aside and look at what the cold, hard numbers tell us. This is where the debate stops and the facts take over. Now pay close attention here, because this is the single most important idea in this whole explainer. The moment the dealer finishes shuffling the cards, the order of that deck is fixed. It's a set sequence. Your seat only changes who receives the next card in that predetermined line. And that's really all there is to it. The fundamental probabilities that govern the game of blackjack, well, they don't know and they don't care if you're in the first seat, the last seat, or standing behind the table watching. The math is completely, totally blind to the furniture. So if your seat doesn't matter, what does? Well, it comes down to just these three things: the random order of the cards in the shoe, the specific rules the dealer is forced to follow, and the strategic decisions you make. See what's missing from that list? Your chair. Let's make this super clear with an example. Imagine you're at third base with a 16 against a dealer's 7. Basic strategy says you gotta hit. Now let's say the very next card in the deck is a 10. If you hit, you get that 10 and you bust. But if you get scared and stand instead, that same exact 10 just goes to the dealer. Your decision didn't change the card. It was always a 10. It just changed its destination. So now we get to the part where this really matters. Because believing in these myths isn't just some harmless casino fun. It has a real, tangible cost, and it can actively make you a worse player. This is where the real threat is, and it's all in your head. The chair has zero power, but your belief that it does, that's what causes you to second-guess yourself and make bad decisions you know you shouldn't. And right here, you can see the actual cost in dollars and cents. Every single time you ignore correct basic strategy, whether it's because of a superstition or because you don't want to upset the table, you are making a mathematically worse play. You're literally giving the casino a bigger advantage over you. And these are the kinds of mistakes we're talking about. It's when you don't hit your 12 against a dealer's 3 because you're scared of taking the dealer's bust card, or when you don't split your 8s because the person next to you sighs loudly. These are emotional plays, not smart ones, and they cost you money. But here's the really empowering part. Once you truly get it, once you accept that your seat is meaningless, you free yourself from all that pressure. All that mental energy you were wasting on myths can now be laser focused on one thing and one thing only: making the correct strategic play, every single hand. So the next time you sit down to play, just remember this: chairs don't influence cards. Players influence decisions. The only thing that truly matters is the choice you're about to make. Focus on that, and you'll be the best player at the table, no matter where you happen to be sitting. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.